Coming up on Movieology, family films. Are they a day at the park or a mugging in the dark? Find out right now on Movieology. Welcome to Movieology, your ticket to engaging the spectacular world of films from a bedrock of biblical truth. I'm your guest host, Michael Minkoff. I'm filling in for Stewart while he's on vacation. Man, you guys sure are on vacation a lot. What happens when we're all on vacation? I went to review a movie, but an overeager theater attendant threw me in the trash. I found the trash to be more compelling than the movie I was going to review. So I stayed to watch the drama unfold between a half bucket of stale popcorn and a charming puddle of flat Coca-Cola. Well, let's just hope that never happens. So, last time I was here, I talked to you a little bit about why you should watch secular movies. Well, today I want to talk to you about how to watch secular movies, and especially family films. Recent research indicates that our brains are more synaptically active while we sleep than they are while we watch television or movies. This is not just a physical reality, but also a spiritual one. Most people, including an alarming number of Christians, watch movies strictly for enjoyment and entertainment with a passive and receptive mental stance. But Christians should not watch movies this way. And if they can't watch movies any other way, they probably shouldn't be watching movies at all. The Proverbs tell us, doing wickedness is like sport to a fool, and so is wisdom to a man of understanding. In other words, vanity, futility, and immorality are fun to a fool. These alone, in fact, please him. A wise man, on the other hand, finds pleasure and satisfaction in the exercise of wisdom and discernment. If a movie is little more than eye candy, an exercise in superficiality and sensual experience, it won't do very much to please a wise man, because he wants something to chew on, some way to exercise and practice his discernment, some avenue to make a distinction between excellence and mediocrity, right and wrong. Mature Christians, because of practice, have their senses trained to discern good from evil. A thoughtful, well-produced movie can be and should be another playground for the pleasurable practice of biblical discernment. As is apparent to most human beings, some family pets, and even some household appliances, one can either watch a given movie or not watch it. Not watching a movie is the easiest way to avoid being affected by it. When a movie sells itself with sex, violence, and coarse language, it's almost always a good choice to skip it. Judging a movie by its poster, its previews, and its rating is the easiest form of discernment. And for me at least, it shaves off about 90% or so of all contemporary movies right off the bat without any further inquiry. But as Charles Spurgeon has said, discernment is not a matter of telling the difference between right and wrong. Rather, it is telling the difference between right and almost right. It seems that most Christians, if they use discernment at all at the box office, discern only according to appearances. If a movie contains little coarse language, no nudity, and no exorbitant violence, they consider the movie harmless family entertainment. Well-dressed, sweet-smelling lies are harder to detect than stinky, ugly ones. For this reason, Satan disguises himself as an angel of light, and we should not be surprised when his servants come to us in equally deceptive garb. We must learn to exercise a discernment which looks at the heart of a matter. God exercises this kind of discernment perfectly, and we also can spiritually appraise all things because we have the mind of Christ. It is clear we must avoid supporting movies that display a penchant for sin and all that the flesh lusts after. But what about those family-friendly films that seem so harmless? How do we avoid the pitfalls of worldview deception when something seems almost right? I think the most dangerous feature of mainstream family-friendly films is the ubiquitous inclusion of what I call imitation value extracts. These are virtues or convictions that have been extracted from their context. They're ready-made virtues. It's easy to account, or should I say, bank account, for their existence. Hollywood producers want to make as much money as possible from their films, naturally. In order to do this, they have to attract as many viewers as possible. This means it's important for them to neutralize any elements in their films that might unduly offend any potential market. Thus, value extracts allow any number of viewers with vastly different substantive beliefs to pour their own definitions, sources, and foundations into the generalized, non-exclusive frameworks of any given film. Allow me a detour for a moment to talk about an interesting biblical backdrop for this discussion. The word translated medium in the Old Testament, meaning necromancer or sorcerer, is the Hebrew word ob. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing that right, but it means empty wineskin. This means that the mediums, the media, emptied themselves out so that they could be filled with any passing spirit. In the same way, Hollywood has embraced a stance of tolerant pluralism, emptying itself of any divisive or exclusive convictions so as to be open to the opinions, and especially the money, of any passing viewer. Let's look at a few examples of objectless, foundationless value extracts in family films. Consider the movie Prince of Egypt, DreamWorks Animation's first film, which is loosely based on the biblical account of Moses. The theme song for the film is entitled, "When You Believe." The chorus to this song is, "There can be miracles when you believe. Though hope is frail, it's hard to kill." Okay, so anyway, it goes on. Who knows what miracles you can achieve when you believe? Somehow you will. You will when you believe. This is a great example of extracted values. Here, the faith and hope have no object. Their value is intrinsic. The focus is on the individual's act of belief, not on the object of his belief. You can achieve miracles if you believe, even if what you believe in doesn't exist. There is power in the act of belief. Belief is its own reward. It doesn't matter what or who you believe in, just that you believe. The belief itself is what is valuable about religion because it gives you the strength to carry on through difficult times. I wish this were the only example of imitation faith extract, but it isn't. Here are a few more examples. The first song for the ending credits of The Voyage of the Dawn Treader contains these lines, and I'll spare you my singing this time round. "We can be the kings and queens of anything if we believe. It's written in the stars that shine above, a world where you and I belong, where faith and love will keep us strong. Exactly who we are is just enough." Again, fuzzy feelings. In these lines, we see both faith and love operating as value extracts, totally separated from any object. This would be bad enough, but consider this testimony from Liam Neeson, who has played Aslan in all the Narnia movies so far. He says, "Aslan symbolizes a Christ-like figure, but he also symbolizes for me Muhammad, Buddha, and all the great spiritual leaders and prophets over the centuries. That's who Aslan stands for, as well as a mentor figure for kids. That's what he means for me." So the movie has been designed so that any religious belief can fit into its framework. It has been stripped of political incorrectness by removing or primarily neutralizing Christian truths that would exclude other beliefs. Notice again the emphasis on self. In fact, if mainstream family movies give any object for faith, it is always the self. How many times have you heard the platitude, "You've just got to believe in yourself"? Something in me thinks that C.S. Lewis would not be terribly happy about the marketizing neutralization of his specifically and obviously Christian stories. But I guess there's no way to tell until we get to somewhere in the stars where you and I belong, and then we can ask him. Another example is The Polar Express. In it, the train conductor says to the protagonist,
"What if there was a place beyond your imagination? And to get there, all you have to do is believe."
The thing about trains, doesn't matter where they're going. What matters is deciding to get on. Later, the protagonist chants, "I believe, I believe, I believe." According to the conductor, the direction, destination, source, or foundation of belief, trains, is not important. So the boy just has to believe. Whatever he believes in, it's irrelevant. As long as he decides to believe, that's what's important. Or how about Cinderella? If you keep believing, the dreams you wish will come true. Or even Kung Fu Panda. "Promise me, Shifu, promise me you will believe." Once you start to notice this sort of thing, the examples are really endless. Value extracts are in fact the moral backbone of almost all family films. Love very commonly operates as a value extract, without boundaries, without object, without foundation. The power of love. Courage, loyalty, honesty, all of these also appear regularly and without any foundation. Whatever the value, it must be presented in a nebulous enough way so as to receive any viewer's particular definitions. Hollywood provides the empty wineskin, you provide the passing spirit. Hold that thought and let's take a break to thank our sponsor. American Vision has been dedicated to restoring America's biblical foundation since 1978. They have invaluable educational resources on a variety of topics, including history, apologetics, eschatology, and worldview. No one should go without their wealth of accessible solutions to cultural and theological issues. As a Moviology fan, you are treated to 10% off all purchases at AmericanVision.com when you use the coupon code HOLLYWOOD during checkout. American Vision has the resources that will help you to understand the world you live in. Check them out at AmericanVision.com. Picking up where we left off, value extracts are dangerous deceptions, barely even half-truths, because virtue does not exist without Christ. In fact, nothing has intrinsic value apart from Him. Faith without an object is useless. Love without definition is as good as hate. Courage, loyalty, honesty, etc. are arbitrary without biblical boundaries. Good and evil do not exist without an absolute standard to distinguish them. To ascribe intrinsic or independent value to anything is to say, in effect, that things can have existence and goodness independent of God. Non-Christians wish this were the case because they want the fruit of Christianity without having to bow the knee to Christ. But Ecclesiastes makes it very clear. Under the sun, i.e., excluding the heavens where God is, everything is intrinsically meaningless and vain. So, these seemingly safe family movies may appear to be harmless family fun, but they are actually denying the root of all meaningful existence, God and His Word. As such, most family-friendly films are precarious and should not be viewed passively. It is profitable to watch these movies, even with your children, only if you couch the movie-watching experience as an active sparring session, a module of worldview conflict training. Without this self-conscious predisposition to guarding our hearts, we will leave ourselves vulnerable to the onslaughts of vain speculation and worldly philosophy. Watching movies and engaging with the philosophy of our culture must never be a passive experience. For to allow it to be such would be to sit under the tutelage and in the friendly company of scoffers. We cannot be deceived. Such an approach has corrupted and will continue to corrupt Christian morals. The enjoyment we receive from movies must be the sport of exercising our biblical discernment, not the passive and passing pleasure of folly. So, next time you go to the movies, don't leave your mind at the box office or your heart unguarded. Prepare yourself, for the invigorating exercise of your discernment. Then take the strength and understanding you gain from that exercise and use it to engage your culture for the kingdom of Christ. Have you watched a movie recently and noticed some value extracts? If you have, let us know. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, don't hesitate to send them over. We promise we won't let the paper bag respond to any of your questions, unless you want him to. Remember, you can socialize with Moviology at Movieology.tv, at Facebook.com/Moviology, and Twitter.com/MoviologyTV. And don't forget to sign up for our awesome free e-newsletter on Moviology's subscriptions page. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Michael Minkoff, your guest host. Until next time, you've been watching Moviology. Review a movie, but an overeager Okay. You know that thing? You know what I'm talking about? That looks so terrible.
So I think what Jen...
Recent research indicates that our brains are more synaptic. All right, we're already done. Let's get out of here. All right. My lips are hurting. Does anyone have any chapstick? I feel a little empty inside, all hollow in my heart. Come on, people, help me out. So I went to a barber yesterday. He didn't give me a very good haircut. I think the only scissors he had were paper or something.